Hello Stampers, it's Super Awesome Stamper Shirley Merker. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Wisconsin, USA. I am jumping on the 2025-2026 Global SU Share Fair private Facebook group for our August 2025 Woohoo Weekend. Woohoo! So during the weekend, we've got several demonstrators across the globe participating, and they will have several posts within their demonstration hour in this private Facebook group. And then we also share the YouTube assembly links in our emailed PDF that we share with our attendees to this event. So we've started doing the YouTube videos because Facebook is now deleting our Facebook Live videos after 30 days. So we want to share or save our work somewhere, and we decided that we would post them to YouTube instead. All right, so if anybody's watching, or I am going to try to see if I am live in the correct place. Yes, I see myself. I realize that you're probably going to be watching on replay. Oh, and I see I've got some things in the way of my view here. That was my light. And then if I move my camera a tiny bit, maybe down, we'll get just the area of my workspace. It's so hard to see this on camera because there's a bunch of other stuff as well that displays when we're trying to do a Facebook Live. Let's try that. Oh, there, that's as straight as it's gonna get. And that's my screen for now, so you're gonna see my workspace right there, my countertop. All right, so I have the Blooming Phrases online stamp set. There's no coordinating dies with this, but I love the cursive writing and then the long elongated line after it. I actually tried to write cursive like this before I purchased the set to see if I could replicate it without purchasing a set, and no, I could not. I know how to write cursive. I am that old. I shouldn't say that old. I'm old enough where that was taught in grammar school. So, but I just love the cursive look of this, and it's easy to read, even if you never learned cursive in elementary school. All right, so it is a photopolymer stamp set. One thing that I didn't like about it, we have a lot of sentiments. We don't have all 4 seasons. I think Stampin' Up! Missed a marketing opportunity here to not have all 4 seasons representative with like a snowflake and a leaf. So I went to my stash and found a set that had some fall images. So I picked the apple and the heart, and then there's a leaf die cut. So the coordinating die cut set for More Than Autumn has more dies than the stamps. So like here's pumpkin. There is the pumpkin die actually. The word dies don't fit over the pumpkin stamps, pumpkin letters. So just be aware of that if you purchase it. We've got more dies, and the dies, so the word stamps don't fit the dies. All right, so I'm going to put this aside. Also going to pull in here, another online exclusive is this Need for Tweed Designer Series paper. You get 3 sheets of 4 different patterns. So I've got the patterns here. Here's one pattern. I have the backside pattern in the middle of the 2 patterns. So you can see that there's one pattern. This one's great for contrast, but also a unique Christmas card, or a fall card, or a spring card. More like Christmas. Look at that. It's just, I love the texture. So I'm a rug hooker. Tiny bit of wool applique as well, so I love the texture of this Designer Series paper. Here's the red, so it's a cherry cobbler, and then that's definitely says Christmas to me right there. And then this piece I've cut all up and used quite a bit of it. Again, there are 3 sheets of the pattern, but this is on the opposite side of the pattern that I'm using today. This is Need for Tweed, and it is an online exclusive. All right, so now let's get to our card. I wanted to create, I knew I had this in my mind, my own Designer Series paper with words and the apples. And I wanted a unique look. So I did a diagonal triangle on the front so we could see this gorgeous Need for Tweed pattern paper. All right, so let's get started. We've got a crumb cake base, and then all the measurements for this will be in that emailed PDF. Just ask the demonstrator that invited you to this event to share that emailed PDF for you. Please note, give us a little bit of time. I have to upload my video to YouTube, and so does Julia, so it just takes us a little bit of time to get that work done. It's not as fast as you think. It takes a while to upload to YouTube. Download to our computer and then upload. All right, so this is just the basic layer. 1/4 inch around, and then 1/2 centimeter, I think, for the metric. The next layer is going to be the crumb cake. And from one crumb cake rectangle, you can get 2 pieces. So you need to cut it at a diagonal. And I just did 1/8 of an inch less than the designer series paper because I wanted just a small mat around the corner here. Okay, so we're going to cut it at a diagonal. And let's see if I can get this in here. Put your tips, the corners, upper right and bottom left, in your cutting groove. And find your cutting blade and just slice. Okay, so there's that. So you can get 2 cards off of one rectangular piece of crumb cake. And then we're going to bring in our paper piercing mat, piece of scrap paper. It's just some copy paper that I have. And we're going to put this on the copy paper. And I have 4 ink pads here. Now we're going to try to keep them straight. Really espresso. I've got a lot of room here. I am going to try something a little different. I've got this light here that's right in front of me. I'm going to try to move it so it's not there. So it's not directly in front of me. I'm going to move this up. And, oop, that's in the... Oh, did I move the camera a little bit? Upper right-hand corner's got a little bit of a shadow. Okay, early espresso. It's that one. Crumb cake, or Cajun Craze, is the Nothing's Better Than. Cider Season's going to be the crumb cake. Now, my crumb cake label has definitely faded with the light. Yours probably has too. This faces the light, and this is in my, I haven't got the storage system, but it's still faded in the light. I think that's the only label that has. Oh, I'm going to move my adhesives a little bit over. Oh, and I went upstairs to get my water, and I forgot to bring it back down, so if I get a little frog in my throat, I might have to go get my water or get a little bit of candy. Okay, real red is the last one. So what I'm going to do to make sure I don't stamp into the wrong ink pad, just going to try to keep them lined up. Keep this close by. So along the edge there, I've got the Just Because. And I wanted a full Just Because, and I'm going to try to put it down a little bit because I made the knotted ribbon after I designed the card. I want a little more space up there. And then complete the pattern. I'm going to try to get this as straight as I can. And then Nothing's Better Than. The next one. This one, I did the center one because I wanted words where that scroll is. And then I can complete either side. With the sentiment. So it gives a continuous feel to the pattern. Nothing's better than cider season. So I have had 3 apples from my, then I want a full one just to the left of that, cider season. I've had 3 apples, so I have a Sweet 16 and a Honeycrisp apple tree in my yard. The Sweet 16 is larger than the Honeycrisp because the Honeycrisp is on the wet side of the yard. So that's actually my third apple tree over there because they keep on dying because it's so wet. And my Sweet 16 is actually my second apple tree because the first one, I'm going to put an apple in between the spaces there of the cider season. My first Honeycrisp blew over in a thunderstorm. And the second one here is leaning pretty bad. Jim wouldn't stake it, so I thought it was going to go down this summer, but I think it's going to make it. I might have to cut off another branch on this side that's leaning. Doesn't have as many apples as last year, which is okay with me. I had so many I had to dehydrate, but I put dehydrated apples in my tea. My hot tea brew, and then I also eat them in the winter with my cheese. My cheese and fruit and cracker lunch. Okay, and then I just want a little bit of a swirl there. And a little bit of the just. All right, and then better than doing good that I'm not stamping the wrong stamp in the, we're just gonna do one here. Wrong stamp in the wrong ink pad, even though I'm talking, and then the cider. All right, now in your email PDF, I did include the inside because I fancied up the inside. I have the same size DSP in the inside. And, oh, hello Daphne. I see you just popped up as my one eyeball watching. Same DSP in the inside. This is just 1/6 of an 8.5 by 11 piece of basic white. I cut it down into 6 pieces so I don't have a lot of little narrow scraps. And because you usually just use that much for a greeting on the inside for your personal message. So inside I've got apple season and some stamping. So I am done with these ink pads. Let me shut them up real quick so I don't, oh no, I'm not done with this one. I'm done with the Cajun Craze. Let's do, we're done with the red. Let's just put those over there. What's next here? Oh, I know what's next. Let's kind of move these aside and I'll come back to those ink pads. What's next is getting our die cut. So I've already stamped and die cut the apple, and I just use a Post-it note to hold that in place. So we've got an apple. And then the leaf doesn't have a coordinating stamp. But let's open this up. Here's where I put the stamped apple, right between the 2 knots on the ribbon. And the leaf is in the upper right-hand corner of that card. And all those little holes are to help you get the die cut out of the paper out of the die. Sometimes the paper just falls right out, but so that's what that looks like. I'm gonna put the die up there so it doesn't get close to my trash can. And season, see, season just came out. Got one little chad left in there, so we'll pop that out, and then apple. And apple is a little bit more delicate, so it didn't want to pop out either. Just gonna press them all because then I can get the chat out as well. There. Okay, let's just put that aside. And then I'm gonna put the apple up there so I can do 2 more apples there, which is great. Okay, now, one thing I'm gonna point out, I wanted to add an early espresso cardstock layer behind the pattern paper, but I didn't have any in stock. I just had some strips. So an easy layer without adding weight and thickness to your card is to do the direct to paper with your ink pad or your marker. So let's do a little bit of assembling here, because I did do direct to direct to paper right there. And I see I moved my camera down a little too far. I've got more demonstration space closer to me here. So let's make sure everything gets in camera here. Okay, so let's do some assembling. This is just on that corner with a little bit peeking out. Hi, Susan. I'm standing up so I can see the back of my camera. I can see when people jump on to start watching. So there's that. And then, before I attach it to my card front, I am going to do the direct to paper technique, and this is an older than me technique, longer than I've been a demonstrator. This is the first techniques that we learned years ago to add a quick layer to your card. You just run it along there and it'll add antiquing. See, I got some right there to your card. Maybe let's do some right there too. Antiquing and a shadow. So it adds dimension. I didn't do this on my sample card because I think I had it already in the inside, but we're just gonna run that and add that antique look. Oh, and I got a little more over there, but that's fine. Okay, so now I can close this one up. Done with that one. And let's do some attaching. So this is going to be the inside piece. I'm going to put one in the center because we're going to put that basic white over it as well. So it's going to be a little heavy. Basic white for the inside. Oh, look at that. That's right. Is that on my hand? It's probably on my hand. That's okay. The card looks antique-y. Okay, so here's the inside. So let's find my little pieces. The tree, or not the tree, the leaf. All right, we got one Chad, I think, on that apple. It's hanging on. There we go. Just going to grab, oh, Susan says, hello. It is a fun card. It is, I was explaining before you came on, Susan, that my apple trees, about my apple trees, had 2 apples so far, 2 from the Honeycrisp, or 2 from the Honeycrisp and 1 from the Sweet 16. They're a little tart, but they fell on the ground after a storm this past weekend, so I went out and snapped them. And what I do actually, when they're that tart, I shouldn't say that tart, they're tarter than they should be, I just run them in I just add some almond butter or my own personal honey. So I'm honey beekeeper. Either one, whatever I've got in stock. I don't always keep my almond butter in stock. So if I'm out of almond butter to add over my apples, I use my honey. There. And then this is very delicate. I use glue for that first leaf, but I think we're going to add a little bit of just adhesive so the glue doesn't seep through all of that leaf part. Okay. Then we're going to do some stamping. So apple and a heart. It's an open heart. So I grabbed my Stampin' Write marker and I filled it in. Now we just got the news this week that they are discontinuing the Stampin' Write markers. I'm going to close this up so I don't get ink places I don't want it. They are just discontinuing them, so they have moved them to the last chance list. So if you like your Stampin' Write markers and you want an extra set, head over to the online store and order them through the demonstrator that invited you. I like the Stampin' Write markers because they have this nice tip. The tip, generally the fat tip where you do the coloring that I just did in the heart, has never really run dry. Mom still has some markers too that She keeps them in a couple plastic bags, but they're really good as long as you don't use them. You know, the more you use them, the more they're going to dry out. What dries out actually is the writing tip. Let's see if this one's good. This one's still good. What happens is you can just dip them in your ink pad if you just want to write a few things like, hi, Stamper. And if it starts to run out, you just dip it in your ink pad. I'll show you. For a few seconds. And that'll rejuvenate the ink and you can continue on writing. So that's just a little tip there. Okay. So what dries out is that fine tip end. Okay. All right, so inside done, inside done. Now we're going to finish the outside. And that is the ribbon. So I want to do something a little different. Where's my ribbon? And I did some knots. 2 knots there and 1 up there. Power of 3. So I did it off the roll because I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure exactly what I was doing, but let's get this figured out. The knots are going to be unique every time. Just like I said, I wanted something different. And you could just do the loose flat knot. It'll mail a little easier, but this will mail as well. I would probably mail it flipping around like that. So it's uniformly thick, but I wanted a knot. And you got to knot it so you got enough overhang you can wrap it around the back of the card. And I wasn't sure I was going to, you know, I was just going to do the 3 knots, and then I thought, oh, hang on a second. I got to watch what I'm doing here. Make the knot in the appropriate place on this side to the right of the one I already have. There was enough space to put that little small apple in between. So let's try to see if I can replicate that. Just leaving enough space so I can put that apple for a little focal point. That looks good. And then all the way at the top. So here's how I did it. This is going to overhang here. I want it about here. So I'm just going to take the loop and try to get that knot about in that where I'm holding my left thumb. And then laying it back down. Nope, it's too close to the other one, so you don't cinch it tight right away. Kind of move it back up the ribbon here. That looks good to me. Just cinch it. Okay, and your paper snips. I know we're just supposed to use paper, but the little cutting that we do with the ribbon, we can use our paper snips. It's super sharp and precise. So there. All right, Basic Beige Classic Ribbon is in the catalog. All right, so now I'm going to actually run it right close to the corner. So I have adhesive there to do that wrap around. Oops. Let's get that down on the paper, not on my dispenser. Okay. So down here. And I wrapped it around the left side of the pattern paper. I didn't wrap it around the corner. And I'll take care of that in a minute. And just make sure you don't bow your paper when you're doing this by pulling your ribbon too tight. Again, I'm wrapping it the top edge of the pattern paper and just pulling the ribbon along the adhesive that's already there. So this one's a little more tricky. There. Nope. Like to how I had it before. I want it all the way to the corner. And oops, see, now I'm bowing the paper. Okay, what's going to help? What is going to help? I should have left it. Now I'm sticking to everything. Hold it down. There. Okay. Now we got our tear and tape. And I could run the Stampin' Seal over that ribbon, but it might have a hard time catching on the ribbon since the ribbon is porous. So tear and tape works great for this. I can cover up the ribbon and it adds as the adhesive for the ribbon on the back side. Just bent over that corner of ribbon and added tear and tape. And then maybe just that a little bit. I'm going to use some some glue dots to kind of force the ribbon where I want it. Okay, glue dots on the end of your paper piercer. Kind of roll it up a little bit. Tuck it behind your knot. Same down here. Roll it up a little bit so it's not a circle. And tuck it behind the knot. Now, if you don't like, so what's going to happen, I put the glue dot or the apple on with a glue dot, but it's kind of, I don't know, it's stuck on the one side. Let's pull it up. And not on the bottom, stuck on the stem side, but not on the bottom of the apple side. I don't really like that look. So let me grab some dimensionals. Here we go. Now, if I had the edge, that's actually what I was hoping. This is going to fit. Yeah, that's going to fit on one dimensional. But if you had the thin edge, you could cut a little bit off, but my sheet does not. I tend to use everything up. I tend to use those thin edges first, so there. There. Uniformly thick above, and actually is the same thickness as the apple. All right, so there is my card for today. Again, this is our August 2025 woohoo weekend. So we've got several posts within our demonstration hour. And, oh, you're welcome for the marker ink tip. Yep, dip it into your ink pad if you need it for the Stampin' Right. It'll get you by to get your message written. It's not for long missives, but it'll get you to have a color coordinating ink, and I like to do color coordinating ink inside my card. All right, so quick and cute card, because I had this kind of idea in my head to create the pattern paper using the words with the apple. All right, so I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Oh, my second post is just going to be posting in the group right now at 10:30, and then I have a third post at 10:45. I have pinned to the top of our page the presentations, what time they start in a couple of different time zones, who the demonstrator is, and what stamp set they're featuring. Again, make sure you follow up with the demonstrator that you invited to this group to ask for your emailed PDF. Hopefully we'll get it turned around within 24 hours. Julie and I need to upload our videos to YouTube, and that takes us a little bit of time. And she is in Australia, so she's sleeping right now, and she will upload her video as soon as she wakes up during her Saturday morning. All right, thanks for stamping with us this weekend, and we'll stamp with you soon. Bye.